Salam everyone, welcome back to Kalimah Tayebah series. Today is lesson number 6 and we will talk about Iman or faith. Iman has 6 pillars, just like the number of our lesson. In order for us to become true believers and enter paradise, we should believe in those 6 pillars one by one. So pay attention, prepare your pen and notebook, and let's start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala khairil mursalin, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Dear Lord, teach us something beneficial and benefit us with what you teach us and increase us in knowledge. I'm going to start with a story. One time, a teacher wanted to do an experiment with his students. Before the end of class, he distributed to each one of them an uninflated balloon. And he told them, I'm not going to give you any homework for tomorrow. Your only task is to bring back this balloon inflated, under one condition. You need to inflate it without anybody seeing you. This is the condition to pass the assignment. Students started looking at each other with excitement and relief. Their only homework for the next day was to inflate the balloon without anybody seeing them. That's easy to do. Everyone went back home thinking of the correct time and place to inflate the balloon privately, and it wasn't so hard to do. The next day, the class was filled with flying balloons, and everybody was so happy for completing an easy project and getting a good grade so easily. Except for one student. His balloon was sitting on the table, all empty and uninflated, exactly like it was yesterday. The teacher called that student in front of the class. Everyone felt sorry for him because that means that he failed his assignment. The teacher asked him, Did you forget to do the assignment? The student answered, No, I didn't. Then why didn't you inflate it like everybody else did? The student answered, I couldn't find a place and time where no one couldn't see me. And you told us the condition to pass the assignment is to inflate the balloon without anybody seeing us. The teacher smiled and told him, You're the only one who passed the assignment, and the rest of the class failed. Everyone was shocked and wanted to understand why they failed and he passed, although he didn't get the job done. The teacher asked the student to explain to his classmates why he couldn't inflate the balloon without anybody seeing him. The student said, My parents taught me to repeat the following phrase every night before I went to bed. Allahu ma'i, Allahu nadhiri, Allahu muttali'un alay. Allah is with me, Allah sees me, Allah witnesses me. So I couldn't find a time where nobody would see me, because Allah is watching me all the time. And I tried to find a hidden place to inflate the balloon, but I couldn't, because Allah can see me everywhere I go. You see, this student reached the level of ihsan that we explained in our previous lesson. Ihsan, which is the rule of the soul. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ explained to us that ihsan is to worship Allah as if you see Him. And even though you can't see Him, you must remember and know that He can always see you. What this means is that you should feel that Allah is always with you and can always see you and hear you. He always knows what you're doing. Allah sees and knows absolutely everything. So ihsan, which is the rule of the soul, has 2 pillars. Worship God as if you see Him. And if you don't see Him, know that God sees you. Today we will talk about the rule of the heart, and it's called Iman, or belief. And it has 6 pillars. Pillars in Arabic means arkan, plural of the word rukn. So arkan al-Iman, or the pillars of belief, are 6. Believing in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, the last or final day, the day of judgment, and the destiny or divine decree, both the good and the bad. Belief and faith belong in the heart. You believe something with your heart. That's why Iman is the rule of the heart. Now, what is so special about Iman, and why is it important? You know, when you go to science lab and you start to experiment, you see the results with your eyes. For example, you heat water and you see that it always boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Or you freeze it and you know it turns into ice at 0 degrees Celsius. These are facts that you can observe with your own eyes and experiment with your hands. Now, if you drop a ball on the floor, you will know that gravity exists, although you don't see gravity with your eyes, but you can see the manifestation or the result of gravity. So you believe it exists. You can't say that I don't believe in gravity because I don't see it. That would be illogical because you can clearly see its effect on things. Now, let's go back to Iman or faith. We say al-Iman bil-ghayb, belief in the unseen. When you believe in those 6 pillars, you're believing in things that exist despite the fact that you cannot see them. Al-Ghaib, or the unseen, is something that we cannot perceive with our senses, yet Allah is asking us to believe in it. Let's start with the first pillar of Iman, believing in Allah. In this life, we cannot see God with our eyes, yet we have to believe in Him. So God commands us to look at His creations. He commands us to look at the universe in order to see His effects or manifestation in it, and hence we can start to know Him. So although we can't see God, but we can see the manifestation of His names in the universe. For example, you see a mother being compassionate with her infant. You would know that this is the manifestation of Allah's name Ar-Rahim, the most merciful. When we see the power and magnificence of the sea, you witness the manifestation of Allah's name Al-Qawi, the all-strong, and Al-Azim, the magnificent. When you see how the embryo's face is formed in the womb, you witness the names of Allah Al-Khaliq, the maker, the creator, and Al-Musawwir, the fashioner. So you believe in God by seeing the manifestation of His name in everything around you. Similarly, we can't see the angels, and we did not witness the past, so we didn't need the prophets. We can't see heaven nor hell, and we cannot know what will happen in the future. However, we believe in them because belief is in the heart. And it is believing in the unseen, al-iman bil-ghaib. If you open the Quran, the book of Allah, to the second page, you'll find the second surah of the Quran. The first surah is called Al-Fatiha, the opener, and we talked about it in our lesson last week. The second surah is the longest one in the Quran, and it's called Surah Al-Baqarah, or the chapter of the cow. And it's called the chapter of the cow because Allah tells us the story of a cow during the time of Prophet Moses. And inshallah, I'll tell you the story in coming lessons. So let's read the first few verses together and try to understand what Allah is telling us. Alif Lam Mim. These three letters are one of the miracles of the Quran, and only Allah knows their meaning. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This is the book about which there's no doubt. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. A guidance for those conscious of Allah. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Who believe in the unseen. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Who establish prayer and spend from what we have provided for them. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ. And who believe in what has been revealed to you, O Muhammad, and what was revealed before you. وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. And of the hereafter, they are certain. أُولَئِكَ عَلَى هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Those are upon guidance from their Lord, and it is those who are the successful. Allah is telling us that the successful people are the ones who believe in the unseen, establish prayer and make sadaqah, charity, believe in what was sent down to Prophet Muhammad and all the previous prophets, and believe in the last day or the day of judgment. And Allah uses the word yuqinun. Yaqeen is not just belief, it's belief with utmost certainty. If you want to be successful, Allah is telling you that you should have yaqeen, belief with certainty in the pillars of Iman. You see how important they are? So pay attention. I will go over each pillar now so we understand it, memorize it, and believe in it. So we become successful. Successful in the eye of Allah, which is the highest level of successfulness in this world and in the next. We already talked about the first pillar, believing in God. You have to have firm belief that Allah is Al-Haq, the absolute truth. He is Al-Ahad, He is the unique, the only God, and He has no partners. He is As-Samad. He needs no one of His creations, yet all His creations need Him, and He is the only one worthy of obedience and worship. Add to it that Allah Ta'ala is the creator of everything, Al-Khaliq. He created the skies, the earth, and everything in between, humans, demons, angels, animals, and all other creatures. You also have to know that Allah does not resemble anything that He created, because nothing is like Him. Allah mentions in the Quran, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Nothing resembles Him, and He is the one who hears all and sees all. There's a rule that says, anything that crosses your mind, Allah is unlike it. So whenever you think of Allah, you can visualize His name, called Lafz al-Jalala, Allah. This is His supreme name because it combines all His other names. Now the second pillar of Iman is believing in the angels, al-Malaika. You already know that angels are creatures made of light. They are neither male nor female. They do not eat, nor drink, nor sleep, and they continuously worship God. They follow His commands and obey Him unconditionally. The third and fourth pillars of Iman are believing in the divine books and the prophets. When Allah sent us down to earth, He didn't leave us to figure things out on our own, but He sent prophets to guide us to the right path. And He sent with them books as a guide for us to know how to live properly. You know, when you buy any machine or electronic, it always comes with a manual that tells you everything you need to know about your purchase, how to use it for the first time, how many hours to charge it, what to do if something goes wrong, etc. And if something happens to your machine or you don't know how to manipulate it, the wisest thing to do is to check the manual because it was actually written by the people who invented it, correct? The same goes for us. Our manual for life is the Quran, the book of Allah. In it, you will find everything you need to live a happy life. And if you face a problem, you will find your solution in the Quran because the Quran is the word of Allah, Allah who created you. He sent down this manual especially for you to guide you through your happy and hard times. Now, if you pay attention to the verses we read from Surah Al-Baqarah, and who believe in what has been revealed to you, O Muhammad, and what was revealed before you. So as Muslims, we don't just believe in Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the book that was sent down to him, which is the Quran, but we also believe in all previous prophets and the book that was sent down to them. And why is that? Because all prophets and their books are sent down by Allah. And if we believe in Allah, then we should believe in all His prophets and all His books. So as Muslims, we believe in as-Suhuf, the scriptures, which Allah descended on both our prophets, Ibrahim, Abraham, and Musa, peace be upon them. We believe in the Torah, at-Tawrat, which Allah revealed to Prophet Musa alayhi salam. We believe in the Psalms, az-Zabur, which was sent down to Prophet David alayhi salam, Dawood alayhi salam. And we believe in the Bible, al-Injil, which was sent down to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam. Now we move to the fifth pillar of Iman, which is believing in the last day, al-Iman bil-Yawm al-Akhir. This pillar means that you believe that another life will follow this current one. God will bring us back to life after we die, to hold us accountable on the judgment day. And that's why the angels on the right and left side of our shoulder are writing every single act we do. Now, I know you're wondering, how and why does Allah revive us after we die? Why will He revive us after we die? Because He promised us that we will return to paradise. So after we die, He creates us again so we can enter heaven, our original home. And there we can live forever. This is the true meaning of happily ever after, by the way. Now, how does He revive us after we die? It's really easy. Think about it. Just like God created you the first time, He can create you a second time and 1,000,000 times over. He is Al-Khaliq, the maker, the creator, and He is Al-Qadir, the capable and the powerful. Just like He creates a plant and allows the seed to grow from under earth, Allah will create us again after we die, so we can attend the day of judgment, and then with His mercy and generosity, enter paradise and live there happily. Now, let's talk a bit about the day of judgment. I want you to know about it because it's one of the main pillars of Iman. And if you want to be a true believer, you should have clear belief and understanding of that day. Remember the video I showed you in the first lesson, the rope video? We talked about our life, how it is infinite, but it is divided into different parts or phases. Currently, we are living our life on earth. This life is really important because it sets our path for eternity. If you live it correctly, if we live by the values of the prophets and walk on the straight path, then our eternity will be in heaven. And if we decide to deviate from the straight path and follow the whispers of shaitan, then the eternity will be in hell. This is the decision time for us. Now a question. Did we have a life before we were born? Yes and no. Let me explain. As we talked in our previous lesson, to be alive, your soul needs to be inside your body. That's why we said the difference between a person who's alive and a person who's dead is the soul. Now, before you were born, you didn't have a body, but your soul did exist because Allah created it a long time ago. He created all the souls of all human beings from Prophet Adam, the first human being, till the last person alive. He created all our souls at the same time, long time ago, and He gathered the souls and asked them, Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? And all the souls answered in affirmation. They all replied to God, yes, you are. We do testify that you are our Lord. Now, your soul kept on existing until you were an embryo in your mother's womb. Around 120 days or 4 months after your body was forming in your mother's womb, Allah combined your soul with your body and you became a living creature. And this is when you entered the phase of life on earth. And in this life on earth, Allah gave us free will and the freedom of choice. He didn't oblige us to do anything. He gave us the choice to be either good or bad. And He warned us through His prophets and the books He sent down with them that one day, on the day of judgment, He will account us for what we have done in this life. So believing in the last day, the fifth pillar of Iman, is understanding what will happen to us after death. And no one should be scared of death. It's just a transition from one phase to another. And it's one step closer to entering paradise. So after we die, our soul and body separate again. And our soul enters a new phase or a new world called the world of Barzakh, Alamul Barzakh. And it waits there until the day of judgment comes. Now, when the last day comes and the world literally ends, everyone is dead. It would be the time of Al-Ba'th, meaning the resurrection. So Allah creates all human beings again, from the time of Prophet Adam till the last person alive. All of them will be created again, and their souls will enter their bodies, and they will be all alive. After Al-Ba'th, or the resurrection, there is Al-Hashr, or the assembly. Everyone will be assembled and gathered in one place to wait for Al-Hisab, or the reckoning. And this is when the day of judgment begins. There will be a scale called Al-Mizan in Arabic. It's like an instrument that can measure actions. So the actions of people will be measured on the scale. If the good deeds outweigh the bad ones, the person goes to heaven. And if the bad deeds outweigh the good ones, the person goes to hell. And this is from Allah's name, Al-Adl, the utterly just. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told his companions, there are three qualities for those whom Allah will provide an easy reckoning and admit them into paradise by His mercy. The companions said, what are they? The Prophet answered, give those who deprive you, forgive those who wrong you, and maintain relations with those who cut you off. Write down these three qualities and try to apply them as much as you can in your life. Give to those who deprive you. For example, someone didn't buy you a gift on your birthday and they invited you to theirs. Would you buy them a gift or not? Prophet Muhammad said, give to those who deprive you. So don't think, oh, they didn't get me a gift, so I won't get them one either. Go buy them a gift. Another example, you asked your friend for a favor, to lend you something or to help you with something, and they declined your request. And then after a while, they come asking you for a favor. Would you help them or not? Shaitan will whisper to you, don't help them because they didn't help you. But now you know that the Prophet's saying, give to those who deprive you. So you accept their request even if they failed you before. This is how you become a person of value, and this is how you transcend emotionally and spiritually. The second quality, forgive those who wrong you. We all do mistakes, and if we want God to forgive us, then we need to forgive people who wronged us. The third quality, maintain relations with those who cut you off. If there's a person who hasn't talked to you for a long time, or you meet your neighbor and he doesn't greet you, don't think in your head, if he's not talking to me or not saying hi, then I won't either. No, you call that person that disappeared on you and maintain relations with them. And you greet your neighbor even if he doesn't. These are the virtues of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And if you train yourself to acquire these qualities, the day of judgment will be much easier and your graduation to paradise will be smooth. Also, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tells us, حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا. Take yourselves to account before you are taken to account. Human beings can take themselves to account in this world before the day of judgment. And it's encouraged as a spiritual practice before you go to sleep to go through your day and to ask forgiveness for the wrongs you did. Ask acceptance for the good deeds you did and forgive anyone that has wronged you. This is a very important practice that will facilitate the day of judgment for you and will grant you paradise. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sitting with a group of his companions and he told them, a man will now enter who is from the people of paradise. And a man walks in. One of the companions, his name was Abdullah, got curious and wanted to find out what was so special about this man. Why did the Prophet say that he's from the people of paradise? So he asked that man if he could stay over at his house for 3 days, and the man accepted. Abdullah wanted to observe that man carefully in his home to see what he does and learn from him. Abdullah noticed that the man didn't do anything out of the ordinary. He didn't fast during the day, he didn't pray at night, he didn't read a lot of Quran, he didn't do anything special. So after 3 days, Abdullah told the man, honestly, I asked you if I can stay over at your place because the Prophet said that you are from the people of paradise. And I wanted to see what deeds do you do to receive this honor. The man smiled and answered, I don't do anything special, except that every night before I go to sleep, I forgive whoever has wronged me. I remove any bad feelings towards anyone from my heart. You know how brushing your teeth is like a daily habit you do every night before you sleep? This man developed the habit of forgiveness. It became part of his life. And it is because of this habit that Allah granted him to enter paradise. Entering paradise is so easy. God is not asking us to pray all the time, or to read the Quran all the time, or to fast all the time. Allah wants us to clean our hearts from any grudges, any bitterness. He wants us to forgive people. If you want Allah to forgive us, we need to forgive people. Now, there's another thing that can make the Day of Judgment easy, and we talked about it last time. First, I want you to imagine how crowded it will be on the Day of Judgment. You know how in concerts or games, there's a big crowd of people? And if you lose someone in that crowd, it will be so hard to find them. And if there's a first come, first serve rule, the more you are late, the more you will be standing in the back, and many people will be before you and in front of you. Now, imagine you know the event planner of the concert or the game. They are your close friend. How lucky would you be? Your friend, who happens to be the event planner, tells you, when you go to the game, wear a color that is really flashy, like fluorescent, for example. And if you come late, don't worry. I'll find you in the crowd because of your clothes, and I'll take you to the VIP lounge so you can enjoy the concert more closely. How lucky would you be? Now imagine that on the Day of Judgment, there will be trillions and trillions of people, from the time of Prophet Adam till the last day on earth, all waiting desperately for their hisab or reckoning. And there will be trillions of people ahead of us because chronologically speaking, we are considered among the last people who came on earth because we belong to the last prophet. So basically, there will be Prophet Adam and his people, Prophet Noah and his people, Prophet Abraham, David, Solomon, Moses, Jesus. There's specifically 124,000 prophets that God sent to this earth. All of them will be waiting with their people ahead of us for the Day of Judgment. Now, Allah granted Prophet Muhammad ﷺ a VIP position. He granted him something similar to the VIP lounge on the Day of Judgment. The Prophet will have something called al-hawd, or the basin, which is like a fountain of water, and its location is all the way to the front, ahead of everyone else. But the problem is, how will Prophet Muhammad recognize us on the Day of Judgment among the big crowd of people so he can invite us to his VIP basin? This question was actually asked to the Prophet by one of his companions. And the Prophet answered, say if a man has white-footed horses with white foreheads among other horses which are pure black, will he not recognize his own horses? The companion said, of course he will. The Prophet continued, my followers will come on the Day of Judgment with bright faces and white limbs because of wudu, ablution. So the difference between someone who makes wudu and someone who doesn't is as clear as a horse with white feet and white forehead in comparison to jet black horses. If we make wudu properly, we will have light that will shine from our foreheads. Our faces, arms, and feet will be illuminated. This is how the Prophet ﷺ will know us and will take us by hand on that day. He will take us to his basin and he will intercede for us during the Mizan measurement. So Allah would allow us to enter paradise. That's why today, I will review with you again the proper way to perform wudu or ablution, just to make sure we don't miss anything about it. We start wudu with the niyyah, the intention, by saying nawaitul wudu, I intend to perform ablution. Then we say the basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. We wash our hands 3 times, making sure we wash between the fingers and all the way up to the wrists. Then we take water into the mouth and nose. We use the right hand to cup water into the mouth and breathe it in gently into the nose with the right hand, and then we blow it out with the left hand. We repeat that 3 times. Then we wash the face 3 times, making sure the water covers all parts of the face, from the hairline to the bottom of our chin. And on the side, it has to reach the earlobe on each side. Okay? Then we wash the arms from the hand, including the fingers up to the elbows. Then we wipe the head once or 3 times. Then we wipe the ears from the inside out once or 3 times. Finally, we wash the feet, starting with the right foot. Water has to go between the toes and it has to reach up to the ankles. After you finish wudu and you step out of the bathroom, say this dua or supplication because the Prophet ﷺ used to repeat it every time he finishes his wudu. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I testify that there is no God except Allah. He is one with no partner, and I testify that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. اللهم اجعلني من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين. O Allah, make me among those who turn to you in repentance and make me among those who are purified. Learn this dua by heart so that you can say it after you make wudu, just as our Prophet used to do. Now, there are some rules for wudu that you need to pay attention to. While you are doing ablution, it's better if you massage or scrub the part you're cleaning and not just simply let water flow on it. It's a sunnah to let water reach extra surface on your skin, but also pay attention, you must not waste any water, only use as much as you need. It's actually encouraged to use a small amount of water. It's really important to follow the correct sequence. You have to perform wudu in the order I just showed you. You can't just do it in any order you like. And the most important thing is not to forget to make the niyyah or intention for wudu in your heart, or better yet, to say it out loud. I intend to make wudu, nawaitul wudu. Your wudu should not be interrupted. This means that you should wash your limbs one after the other in a way that the part that you just washed does not dry up when you reach the next one. For example, you start wudu and the doorbell rings. You go answer the door, talk for a few minutes, and by the time you go back to continue wudu, your skin has dried. That means you should start again. Usually we have to make wudu before we read Quran or before we perform any of the 5 daily prayers. But it's also good to be in the wudu state at all times, because as we mentioned, being in a wudu state diminishes the whisper of the shaitan. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, Al-wudu silahul mu'min. Ablution is the weapon of the believer. It's true that when you make wudu, you're purifying different parts of your body. But the aim of wudu is to actually allow you to enter in a state of purity. So while you clean your body, ask Allah to also purify and clean your heart and your soul. Ask Him to forgive your sins and erase your bad deeds so you become pure and clean from the inside out. You also need to know that there are acts that interrupt or nullify wudu, and they are the following. Anything that exits from the private parts, blood if it flows out of your body beyond the exit point, vomit that is a mouthful, sleeping. Now, if you close your eyes to rest and you can still hear people around you, then your wudu is still valid. And if you sleep while sitting and your rear is firmly seated, then your wudu is also still valid. Losing consciousness also nullifies your wudu. And finally, laughter during prayer invalidates your wudu. To show us the importance of wudu, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, At-tahur shatrul iman. Cleanliness is half of faith. And Allah mentions in the Quran that He loves those who purify themselves. Inna Allah yuhibbu at-tawabin wa yuhibbu al-mutatahhirin. So we ask Allah to allow us to enter heaven with those who are bright-faced and white-limbed because of wudu. We still haven't explained the final pillar of iman, which is believing in the destiny, both its good and bad. This one needs a bit of time and focus, so I'll leave it for next week. If you have any questions, you can always contact me by mail. Stay tuned, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.